Counter-Strike. Let's start with the Counter-Strike Major Championship. The rule here is simple. If you want to make it to the big stage, you've got to be a winner. Unlike a lot of other esports, the CS Major is an open circuit. That means, in theory, 5 friends messing around in a home garage could actually qualify, take down the big names, and shock the whole scene. But yeah, it's not that easy. The grind starts months earlier in the RMRs, Regional Major Rankings, which are the qualifiers split by region, so teams from all over the world can fight for a spot. Even legendary squads can get knocked out by total unknowns in do-or-die elimination matches. If you wake up on an off day, your whole season can be over. Like at the Boston Major in 2018, when QBF, a team barely on the international radar, took down Gambit, the champions of the previous major. Once you're in the major, the format switches to the Swiss system, where teams need 3 wins to advance, and 3 losses means you're packing your bags and heading home. Every match starts feeling like a grand final. In the entire history of the game, only one team, the legendary Astralis, managed to win 3 majors in a row. But stuff like that is super rare. Sure, we've had winning eras from a few other teams too, like Fnatic's run, or that Brazilian brilliance with Luminosity/SK, but that's not the usual. The turnover at the top is honestly wild. So why is the CS Major so hard? Simple. CS was built to be that way. Before a single shot gets fired, the match already starts in the map pick. CS has a rotation of 7 active maps. A team can't be great at just one. If you're nasty on Mirage but awful on Nuke, your opponent is going to lean into that. The whole idea is to ban the other team's comfort picks and try to catch them off guard on something you're weaker on. And once the game's live, raw skill alone doesn't cut it. Your team has to manage money the right way. The system lets a team that's getting steamrolled still pull off a round with nothing but $700 pistols against a squad holding $3,000 rifles. And that doesn't just mess with the other team's confidence, it can wreck their economy too, forcing them into cheaper, weaker buys in the next rounds. That's how you get those legendary comebacks that make entire arenas shake. It's not even rare to see a team that looks completely done somehow flip the match. A classic example is what happened in Luminosity versus Liquid. Liquid went up 12-3 in the first half, just 2 rounds away from winning, but Luminosity pulled off a crazy comeback and closed it out 16-14. Winning a Counter-Strike Major means you survive the toughest qualifier, the most unforgiving format, and the pressure of millions of fans who, unlike in some other games, care more about legacy than whatever's trending right now. But the next game on our list is basically an attempt to take down that empire with pure speed and visual chaos. Valorant. If CS is like street soccer, where anyone can climb their way up, Valorant is more like a closed top-tier league. The whole structure here is VCT, the VALORANT Champions Tour. Instead of an open circuit, Riot Games handpicked the partner orgs. To reach Champions, which is their world championship, you have to survive a marathon through the international leagues, Americas, EMEA, Pacific, and China, and prove you belong at the Masters events. What makes Valorant hard isn't just winning, it's adapting, because Riot changes the game constantly. In CS, the AK-47 has basically been the AK-47 forever. In Valorant, one new patch can nerf your best agent and blow up a strategy your team practiced for months. That's why keeping an era is almost impossible. A team can win Masters Tokyo and still not even qualify for Champions Los Angeles in the same year. Like what happened with Sentinels, who looked unstoppable early on, winning everything without dropping a map, and then not long after, they just vanished from the top. Or the straight-up movie story of evil geniuses in 2023. They came in with people doubting them, almost didn't even make it, then locked in a fresh meta mid-tournament and ended up world champions, basically proving creativity can beat pure aim. So why is it so hard to predict the winner? A big reason is the ultimate mechanics. In the server, besides the money economy, there's also this orb economy. You can be down 12-0, broke with no gun money, but if your Jett has Blades online or your Sova has Hunter's Fury ready, that round is still winnable. Abilities let no-shot situations flip in seconds. It turns the whole game into this tactical rock-paper-scissors. A team can be mechanically worse, but if they've got the right read on how to shut down the other team's utility, they can still win. The peak example was the Champions 2022 final, where Brazil's Loud didn't just win on aim, they won because they brought a level of tactical discipline the world hadn't seen, silencing Optic Gaming in a packed stadium. Lifting the Champions trophy means your aim is sharp, sure, but it also means you managed to tame a game that feels like it rewrites the rules every couple weeks. Now though, we're stepping away from the gunfights and tilting the camera upward. Time to talk about the giant that moves crowds. League of Legends. And yeah, this giant literally fills Olympic stadiums. The origin story is kind of funny, because it was born out of rebellion. It started with a community that loved the Defense of the Ancients mod, the original Dota inside Warcraft 3, but wanted something different, faster, cleaner looking, and standalone. They didn't just want a game, they wanted a sport, and they pulled it off. Today, Worlds, the League of Legends World Championship, isn't just a tournament, it's basically the Super Bowl of esports. But reaching the top of that world is brutal. The scene is dominated by this Asian wall. Korea and China push the level so high that the rest of the world has been chasing it for over a decade. To put it in perspective, winning Worlds as a Western team is seen like the Holy Grail, something Europe hasn't pulled off since the very first season, back when the game was basically a different universe. The format punishes inconsistency. If your team can't adapt in a matter of days to Korean drafts and bans, you get steamrolled. So why is League of Legends so punishing? The snowball effect. In CS, if you die, next round you can buy and run it back. In League of Legends, not really. If you die, your opponent gets gold and comes back stronger, with more damage and more tankiness. One mistake at 5 minutes can haunt the next 30, and teams aren't just fighting each other non-stop. They're fighting for map vision, for dragons, for Baron. It's chess where losing a pawn can hand your opponent a queen. But that's exactly what creates the best underdog stories in gaming. You've got the god figure, Faker, T1's legend who's stayed at the top for over 10 years, which is honestly unreal in a reflex-heavy esport. And then you've got miracles, like DRX in 2022, a team nobody really believed in, almost went out early but kept taking down giant after giant until they beat T1 in one of the most insane finals ever. Lifting the Summoner's Cup is the peak of any pro's career, because it means you conquered the most popular, most studied, most strategic game on the planet. But if you think League of Legends is complex, the next game on our list looks at all that complexity and just laughs. Let's talk about the father of it all, Dota. If the League of Legends is the pop star packing stadiums, Dota 2 is the strict dad who built the house. And here, the whole vibe shifts, because it's not just about glory, it's about the money. The main event is the International, and it has one thing that makes every other sport look kinda basic: crowdfunding. The community buys the in-game battle pass, and part of that money goes straight into the prize pool. The result? TI has hit over $40 million for a single tournament. That creates a ridiculous kind of pressure. Winning TYs isn't just getting a trophy, it's the kind of payday where you and your grandkids are set for life. Every mouse click is basically worth $5 million bucks. And Dota is proud of being unfair and hard. While other games try to make your life easier, Dota throws obstacles in your way. The most famous mechanic is Deny. You can literally kill your own creeps so the enemy doesn't get gold and experience. It's petty in the best way. A game where you don't just earn resources, you actively take them away from your opponent. On top of that, the map is a living maze. You can cut down trees to create paths that didn't exist, and the mobility is crazy with teleport, letting your whole team show up at a tower in seconds. But the mechanic that really defines Dota's major level finals is buyback. If you die late game, you can spend your gold to instantly respawn, and that turns matches into chaotic wars of attrition. You wipe the enemy team, think it's over, and then suddenly they pay for buyback, jump right back into the fight, and flip the whole game. The match only ends when the Ancient falls. That complexity created one of the best stories in esports history, the OG Saga. In 2018, the team basically got torn apart just weeks before the tournament. The captain, N0tail, got betrayed by his best friend, who left for another team. He had to call up a retired coach to play and build this squad of cast-offs. Against every expectation, they won the International and pulled off the biggest revenge story esports had ever seen. Everyone called it luck. But then, in 2019, they came back with the same roster. And they didn't just win again, they steamrolled everybody, becoming the only back-to-back TI champions ever. Dota 2 is the purist's game. It's hard, it's deep, it throws mountains of money on the line, but it demands you pretty much give your soul just to understand what's happening on screen. But not every esport has to be a 40-minute mental chess match. Sometimes, the challenge is pure physics. Rocket League. Alright, now forget magic and items. Let's talk pure physics. Rocket League Championship Series is the game with some of the craziest highlights you'll ever see. At least that's what it feels like when you watch cars flying around and pulling off those unreal aerial moves. The concept is almost stupidly simple. Soccer, but with rocket-powered cars. But don't get it twisted. This is the only game on the list with basically no shortcut buttons. In FIFA, you tap a button and your player curls it top corner. Here, nope. If you want to hit the ball, you have to physically slam your car into this giant sphere while calculating angle, speed, and rotation in midair. There's no aim assist. It's raw coordination. That's why a lot of people say Rocket League is the esport that feels closest to an actual traditional sport. And the major format here is straight up stressful. Matches are only 5 minutes long. There's no feel-out phase like in LoL. It's full speed from the first second to the last. The game never really breathes, and the evolution of this scene is honestly terrifying. If you took the Season 1 World Champion and dropped them into today's Ranked, they'd probably lose to a Diamond player. The skill ceiling in this game is basically endless. These days, to be a pro, you're not driving on the ground, you're flying. Players invented mechanics the devs didn't even know were possible, like the flip reset, where you use the ball to get an extra jump midair. Rocket League's history is built on dynasties and prodigies. We had the Dignitas era, dominating Europe with perfect passing, proving chemistry could beat raw individual skill. But more recently, we got the straight-up movie storyline of Zen, a French prodigy who got banned for a year for competing before he was old enough. He spent that entire year grinding in the shadows. Then the ban ended, he joined Vitality, and without ever playing a major before, he went undefeated through regionals and the World Championship. Dude changed how the game is played all by himself. And yeah, Rocket League has one of the most iconic moments in esports history. The Season 5 Grand Final. NRG was down by 1 with 0 seconds left. And in Rocket League, the match doesn't end until the ball hits the ground. They kept it in the air forever. And then the rookie, JSTN, tied it at the very last heartbeat, leading to the legendary caster call. This is Rocket League. Lifting the Rocket League Championship trophy means you mastered physics in a way most humans can't even process with their eyes. But to close out our list, we're going back to the roots. No team, no ball, no excuses, just one-on-one. Fighting games. Finally, we're back at the roots. The place where there's no team, no coach in your ear, and most importantly, no excuses. We are talking about the fighting game community and its holy temple, EVO. The Evolution Championship series is nothing like what we've talked about so far. While League of Legends and VALORANT are polished, corporate-level productions, EVO is a jungle. The most beautiful rule in this tournament is the open bracket. No special invites for big names. If you're the world champ, you can end up in the same path as some random baker who plays on weekends. And if you lose to the baker, you're out. That creates this non-stop pressure. Thousands of people in a massive hall, grinding through a 2-day marathon until only the final 8 make it to the main stage. The difficulty here is the loneliness. It's 1 versus 1. If you drop a combo, there's no support to heal you. You get smacked. Simple as that. Modern fighting games like Street Fighter and Tekken are played in frames. The game runs at 60 frames per second. Pros know a kick takes 14 frames to come out and a block takes 15. It's math happening at light speed. And then there's the mental stack. You're basically trying to read your opponent's mind. You condition them to block low. So, at the perfect moment, you go high. EVO also gave us the most viral moment in gaming history, one that literally got its own name, EVO Moment 37. That's when Daigo Umehara, with just 1 pixel of health left, parried 15 straight kicks from Justin Wong at an inhuman pace and turned the whole fight around while the crowd nearly tore the building down screaming. That moment defines what the fighting game community is. Skill, and especially human reflexes, pushed to the absolute limit under maximum pressure. Winning EVO is the most honest title there is. It means you walked into a sea full of sharks alone and somehow walked out alive. So what's the verdict? We went from the surgical precision of Counter-Strike to the magical chaos of Valorant. We watched empires get built in LoL and fortunes get won in Dota 2. We saw cars fly in Rocket League and legends get born in EVO's arenas. To someone watching from the outside, it's just video games. But you know the truth. And the real question isn't which game is the best. The real question is, what kind of suffering do you respect the most? Now I want to hear your take. If you had to dedicate 10,000 hours of your life to become a world champion in just one of these, which one are you picking? Drop it in the comments because the debate keeps going down there. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this deep dive.